Hello, everybody. And today, Nicole and I will be going over the WPR and the pedagogies of difference for this specific article that's in week 13. And we will also be going over the WPR and pedagogies of practice for our overall topic. So right now, I will be explaining to you our WPR for this article, which is how the terms of equity, diversity, and inclusive practices are defined and used in Ontario ECE programs and policies. This lack of proper usage of those terms, equity, diversity, and inclusive practices, is creating some problems within the early years, as educators have to address and create anti-bias and anti-discriminatory curriculums with no official definitions of those terms. Therefore, it's creating silence for families and children with diverse backgrounds, as they're not being represented in the classroom. And the lack of understanding of these terms also is creating different occurrences where these policies could have more in-depth definitions, which would help increase the proper use of diverse materials within the classroom. And having these diverse materials also allow the children of diverse backgrounds to fully express themselves, and for educators to actively listen to the wants and needs of the child within those terms of equity, diversity, and inclusive practices, which will help our future students. Nicole will now present the pedagogies of differences.
Hello, everybody. For the pedagogies of differences, we have found that equity and diversity in early childhood policy in Ontario shows a linkage that intersects with the early education and care sector and the profession of early childhood leadership, as educators should have an understanding of all diversity and equity and inclusion. To provide a warm and welcoming atmosphere, there needs to be a direct link between early educators or early childhood leaders and the policies that allow them to support the development of all children. The early education and care focus on children, families, educators, and communities. With that being said, having an ECE policy or policies that address equity in the early years can present a better sense of community and understand from the children and parents to the educators. It is imperative to increase policies that address anti-discrimination and anti-bias to ensure that these behaviors are being addressed adequately through curriculum and learning outcomes. Equity is not really seen or expressed in the early years materials that we found, but I did find this quote that stood out to me in a reflection of inclusion. So equity is defined as an inclusive approach to practice which creates an early learning environment that recognizes values and builds on diversity of each child and family. This is found on page 72 of the article. And this resonates with O'Neill's approach, as the postmodern picture books is a way to support inclusive practices in early childhood environments, as this shows a way of encouraging more awareness and develop comprehension of diverse cultures.